miss when I had superpowers. My imagination was my friend and it ran wild and free. I could waste a couple hours without a worry in the world, staring at stars out on my trampoline. I miss when Andy MacArthur was the fastest kid there ever was, and kid there was ever gonna be. Ken Griffey Jr. was a giant before parents got divorced, and I learned that there was gravity. I miss my old heroes. I had to give them all away. I miss my old heroes. Yeah, yeah. God, I wish they could have stayed. 'Cause it turns out that the hardest part of growing up's not getting old. Just learn how the real world goes. I miss my old. I miss my old. I miss my Bible study leader. Had all the answers for living in the big bad world. Don't know if he still talks to Jesus, but his wife's remarried now, and I think he sells garage doors. I miss when I thought chasing dreams was holy magic behind curtains in a sacred place, or it was managers and lawyers who colored up and cashed them out, vacation homes and coastal states. I miss my old heroes. I had to give them all away. I miss my old heroes. Yeah, yeah. God, I wish they could have stayed. 'Cause it turns out that the hardest part growing up's not getting old. Just learn how the real world goes. I miss my old. I miss my old. I miss my old heroes. I miss my old heroes. I miss back when the world was small and we had all the answers. I miss how it was when we were young. I miss back before I understood all the ways that life would break your heart. Before I knew that's what they call growing up. I miss my old heroes. I had to give them all away. I miss my old heroes. Yeah, yeah. God, I wish they could have stayed. 'Cause it turns out the hardest part growing up's not getting old. It's learning how the real world goes. I miss my old. I miss my old. I miss my old heroes. I miss my old heroes.
One, two.
Yep. When it's the end of the weekend, but not quite the end of the weekend. Check it out. It is what it is. You got me feeling.
You make me feel like I'm in all my best clothes. So good that I don't care that Chick-fil-A's closed. Like a slow motion cruise on the back roads and byways. Windows down and avoiding the highways. Nothing else that I wanna do but take all day and waste it with you. You got me feeling like a Sunday. You got me saying hallelujah. some breakfast. We got lots of time, that seems like a good investment. It's the end of the week and I make a mean quiche. Maybe all of our friends should come over to eat. Nothing else that I wanna do but take all of my time and waste it with you. You got me feeling like Sunday. You got me saying hallelujah, singing praise. You got me feeling like the bride.
G5 Leadership, are we ready? That's close. We're going to get kicked off. So, as always, welcome to G5. This is definitely going out on YouTube and all the leaders around the globe. So make sure, if you can, remember that one time when I asked to silence your phones and my phone started to ring? So I did make sure that yes, it did. So I made sure I silenced it today. But we're so honored that you're here at Leadership here for July. Can you believe it's July? My goodness. Time just keeps flying. But as always, this is a place where we get a chance to just be encouraged and equipped by the most incredible leaders in all the world. And I know that those of you in the room are aware, but the guy that we get to listen to here first this evening just celebrated his 28th birthday. Yeah. But don't let the number hold you back on the wisdom of this guy. Blake has had the opportunity to sit at his parents' feet and walk with them and be in rooms that, most people would just, pinch themselves if they could get in. The conversations, what he's had the opportunity to do in his life and who he's been around, and he's full of wisdom. And so tonight, we're going to get this thing kicked off to honor your time because your time is valuable. But make sure you take notes. As we always say, in order to have a noteworthy life, you got to take notes. So make sure you take notes. And we're going to bring up the most incredible 28-year-old, Mr. Blake Goad.
Check. Can y'all hear me? There we go. Y'all ready for leadership today? I am excited here. I'm going to move this. Sorry. There we go. But are y'all ready for leadership? Can I just say that was the most patriotic welcome I've ever had with that flag jacket on, Josh. That was awesome. Can we give it up? It is the 4th of July in the United States of America. I am grateful for our freedom. Both of my grandfathers were in the military, so I am a very grateful grandson for our freedom. I don't take it lightly. My family doesn't take it lightly, and we are very grateful for our freedom. So if you're out this week, please just, if you see a vet, please say thank you. Because as we know, especially here at G5, freedom is not free. Because there's somebody that had to pay the price for you to be here today. So please don't take it for granted. But guys, I'm going to get started tonight. Of course, I have to tell a joke. I only get to tell this joke once a year, but I'm going to tell it twice this year. Wow, yeah. I know, I'm dyslexic, I can count to 2. It's impressive. A lot of you will get that later. But this guy goes to the Super Bowl, and this is one of Heath's favorite jokes, I think. And do you remember the Super Bowl? You'll like this one. This is good. So the guy goes to the Super Bowl, and he's sitting there, and it's kind of like how Junior and Dorian are here. There was a seat in the middle, and they were talking, and they get through halfway through, and the guy realizes nobody is sitting next to this older man. And he's like, this is so weird. This is like the Super Bowl. These tickets are expensive. Like, why isn't there somebody sitting with this old man? And he goes, this is weird. And so, the third quarter starts, and the halftime show's over, and this whole thing is going on. And he finally builds enough courage to look at this older man and go, sir, I just have a question. I'm confused. I just wanted to know, why is nobody come and sit with you? And he goes, well, it was my wife and I's dream to always come to the Super Bowl. But we never were able to do it. And finally, somebody blessed us with tickets to go to the Super Bowl. And so we came, and I'm here, and but my wife passed away. And so she made me promise, no matter what, that I would come to the Super Bowl because it was our dream. And he goes, oh, that's so sweet. But why didn't you bring like your son or your cousin or your uncle, somebody? Why didn't you bring somebody with you? He goes, oh, I would have, but they're all at the funeral today. So, Oh. If you can't laugh at that, you can't laugh at anything. I'm just saying right now. But how many know it is okay to have fun at G5 Church, at G5 Leadership tonight? We are excited because I'm going to jump right in. I am very thrilled about my talk tonight because it is a modification of a talk I've given before. So I'm changing it up on you. I'm doing a switcheroo. So a few months back, I did a talk, and I abbreviated MIA. And a lot of you are thinking, when you hear the term MIA, typically over this, 4th of July thing, and you think of the military, and it typically stands missing in action. And if you haven't heard my previous talk I've done on this, I encourage you to go back and listen to it. It is on our app, I believe, and it's on YouTube. I encourage you to go listen to it. But it's really cool that I changed it up a little bit and made it positive, right? And how many of you know it's important to be positive nowadays, right? So I'm going to today is more of a challenge with my modification on this. It's more of questions than it is a statement. And I want to try to make a statement within the questions. But I want you all, when you get home, to write this out and think about this throughout the weeks. Can you do that for me? So these are questions for you. The M in MIA stands for mentally. How are you doing mentally? Nowadays, how many know a lot of people focus on your mental health and how are you thinking, how are you feeling? And I want to encourage you here at G5 Church, I want to encourage you what you think and how you see yourself and how you're doing mentally matters. And ever since I was young, my parents always taught my sister and I, what you put in will come out. And what you put in and your association will determine what you think about yourself mentally. And I want to ask you this, and I want you to put this on your wall, and I want to stick it down and put this on your mirror. And I want you to ask yourself every day, how strong mentally am I today? How strong mentally am I today? And I want to ask you this. A lot of us are amazing business owners, and I want to encourage you, and we say this, even if you're not a leader, you're a leader. Because my dad was with True Kathy one time, and the True Kathy of mine said, Tim, do you know when people need encouragement? And he says, no, sir, I want you to tell me. He goes, they need encouragement if they're breathing. Here at G5, we know you need encouragement, and we believe if you're breathing, you're also a leader. So even if you don't see yourself as a leader, you are a leader. And I want to encourage yourself, no matter what you do you celebrate the small wins in your life? And I've talked about this a lot. I've talked about having dreams and having a goal, and I want to encourage you to go back and listen to those talks we've done here at G5. But how many of you know it's important to celebrate the small victories throughout the week? Because how many of you know if you can't celebrate something small, you will never be able to appreciate the much? That's huge. And I want to encourage you to write that down and think about that later. If you can't celebrate something small, you'll never be able to celebrate the big. You'll never appreciate the small if you cannot appreciate the big. How many of you know what you appreciate now will mature into giant growth? And an amazing, amazing ability to appreciate everything. The second one, you gotta love when I can't. And how many know? So fun fact, I am dyslexic. This is so much fun. And I gotta love when I misspell a word. This is so great, so awesome. And I'm having struggles right now reading my word. This is great. But how many of you know, how are you all, how do I want to say this? How many know you all are, how many know it's encouragement to struggle and you show your struggles, and right? How many of you know this is positive? Because I need to tell you this. When I was younger, I would not be able to do this right now. I would be so embarrassed that I could not read something. But how many of you know it is amazing that I can now say, hey, look, I struggle with this. That is something that you need to be okay with. And I have so many amazing people in my life to go, do you want to help me with this, please? Can you give it up for Mama G, guys? Can you all, yeah, there we go. Wow, look at me. Thank you. Can you give it up for Mama G, guys? Thank you. So I just want to encourage you, that was very intentional on my part. And because my word is intentional. So how intentional are you on your daily life? How intentional are you? And I want to ask you this, and I want you to write these two things out on a note, sticky note. I love sticky notes. I want you to ask yourself every day when you wake up, where am I the most intentional in my life? And the second thing I want you to ask yourself is, where am I the least intentional in my life? Ever since I was little, my parents always taught my sister, now your actions speak louder than words. And who you are determines what you do. So be intentional. I love this. Walt Disney said this, I decide to see every problem as an opportunity to find a solution to succeed. Find an opportunity and fill it. How intentional are you with your friends? How intentional are you with your family? Now, trust me, I know family is not easy. Trust me, I know. I have a massive family. And you're thinking, well, there's only 4 of you. Well, my dad's side of the family, there were 7 brothers and sisters. And I love all of them so much because I learned so much what not to do. And a lot of you that know my family know what I'm talking about. But I love my family so much. And when I was younger, my parents were very intentional of the time I spent with my family. Because here's what my parents realized. They understood that I could still learn something from my family, but they were very wise in the scenarios and the places I learned them at. Where are you intentional? And finally, the A, is association. And we talk about association a lot here at G5. A lot. Because what we found at G5 is who you spend time with is who you become. And I want to encourage you. I want you to screenshot this. I want you to put this on your wall. Who are you intentionally spending time with on a weekly basis? Who do you spend time with? One of the points that I used to give in my other version of this talk was appreciation. Do you have an appreciation for the people that are intentionally helping you in your life? How intentional are you by showing gratitude for them? I love this. Walt Disney said this. He says, do you do what you do so well with passion that your friends want to help you accomplish it? Do what you do so well with passion that you have friends that want to help you achieve it. Now you're saying, I don't know if I'm doing what I do well, but I know that I have passion for it. I remember at a very young age, my dad said, Blake, first thing you have to do is have a passion for something, and then you build the skills to achieve it. What are you passionate about? And I want to encourage you all. On a weekly basis, I want you to ask yourself that. What am I passionate about? What am I intentional about? And who are my friends? We say this, the 5 closest people you spend time with will determine who you are and who your friends are and who your children become. At G5, we're after not you and we're not after your kids. We're after your children's children. Because we know your children's children are the ones that are going to be running this country in 30 and 40 and 90 and 100 years. How many know what we teach here at G5 is not taught anywhere else? We're after your children's children because we know the impact and the intentionality of us raising and developing leaders to have skills to run a free country. And you're saying, why are you talking so much about a country? How many of you know if it wasn't for this country and our freedom, we would not have the freedom to meet? And I am very intentional of showing gratitude for our soldiers. Because I know what it's like to have friends and family that come home and they don't know how to intentionally live their life when they get back. So I want to encourage you, if you have friends, show appreciation. Now I want to encourage you all, when you're winning and you're leading at a high level, I want you to put something in your life, and it's called a celebration break. And you're saying, what does that mean? Once a week, I want you to do something that is called fun in your life. F-U-N, fun. And what that means is I want you to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is in your life, and do something that you think is fun. Now, I want to encourage you all. A lot of people may think, well, that's just weird. How do you think that's fun? I love golf, and I went golfing today, and that was fun. But how many of you know some people don't like golf? And that's okay. But I want to encourage you, don't let others' opinions of what you like to do to celebrate your wins throughout the week determine how you celebrate your wins. Now, we do live 15 minutes from Disney, and I'm a huge Disney fan. And there will be sometimes once a week I'll be like, love y'all, I'm going to the parks for an hour. And I will literally go in the afternoon and I'll just go have fun. But how many of you know you need time to reflect and remember where you came from and where you're going? But I want to encourage you to do it in a place that will make you feel great about your accomplishments. And I want to encourage you all, if you have friends in your life that are saying, that are like knocking you down and not making you feel good about what you did, those are not your friends. Now, I want to encourage you to get family in your life that will motivate you to succeed to the higher level. Now, Blake, you're probably thinking, Blake, well, my family is not motivating. 90% of my family in my life are not blood related to me. And you're thinking, Blake, what do you mean by that? I have so many amazing friends in my life that are not family, but they're more family to me than some of my other aunts and uncles are. And I am forever grateful for them. Forever grateful for them. Because they also learned what I like to do for fun, and they encouraged it. Now, I didn't say go spend a whole week and do nothing. I said be intentional about your fun. Be intentional about your fun. Because if you can't celebrate, you'll never be able to work harder the next week. So I want you to set goals. And I want you to encourage, I'm going to give these 3 points again, but I want you to write these out and put them on your mirror so you see them for the next week. Where are you mentally? Where are you intentionally living your life? And what is your association? Now, that is probably the smoothest I will ever read that all night, just letting you know that right now. But how many of you know I am very grateful and I'm very intentional with the people I have in my life, and I'm grateful for my mom having my back going, let me help you but not embarrass you. I have had, not a lot of people, but I've had a few people embarrass me in my life. It's okay, Junior, I'll forgive you later. It's okay. But how many of you know forgiveness is everything? I love there's a quote, and it says, forgiveness does not change what happens in the past, but it can change your future. Be intentional with your friends. So I am excited for the future. I am excited to see where you're being intentional. Oh, that was loud. That was fun. But I am excited to see where you're motivated. I encourage you to go back and listen to my other talk. How many of you will actually go back and listen to my other talk that I gave? Can you do that? I want you to be intentional about getting information that will help you achieve your dreams. Can you do that? So without further ado, I want to bring up somebody. I think I'm bringing up who I think I'm bringing up. Am I bringing up who I think I'm bringing up? Yes, I am. I'm bringing up somebody that is very intentional with helping me learn how to read, if you couldn't tell from a few minutes ago. But I'm so grateful for her. She, 28 years ago, she gave birth to me. So I'm very grateful because 28 years ago, the doctor said I would not be here. The doctors, just so you all know, I flatlined at the doctor, just so you know. But how many know I am grateful for my parents' faith that he gave the doctors the ability to save my life? So without further ado, can you believe this came out of that? That's just impressive. But, you know, and that joke was for Brian, because Brian loved But, guys, I am so grateful for my amazing mother. Can you give it up for my mom, guys?
Oh, my goodness. Hello. And I wasn't supposed to follow any of that. This came out of that, and this, yeah. Okay. That's right. Tell it like it, nothing like freedom. Talk the way you want to talk. Oh, my goodness, it's so awesome. Way to go, babe. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you. So awesome. So good. So I want to talk to you real quick because the main man, the man with all the wisdom and everything is coming up, my amazing husband. But I want to talk to you, and my title, you guys know my titles are crazy, but this one is, Are You an Extra Miler? Are you an extra miler? And most of the time when we hear that word, go the extra mile, it's like, really? We had a G5K here. We've had several. And our very first one, PT and I were like, oh, we're on this. We got this. And we were even on our honeymoon. Well, it was like a honeymoon. Our anniversary trip in Italy, and we were determined to keep using our little app. All the people there would hear our app, and she'd say, begin running. And they'd look over at us, like, because it wasn't in Italian. And we were determined. And so we were actually in just amazing shape. We were so proud of ourselves. And we were doing the laps. And I think is it 5 or 6 laps? I can't remember. And 6 laps. And I remember we were so proud, and we're doing great. And I remember we looked at each other, and we were like, should we just do one extra? Nah. It only took a second to go, nah, that's okay. Because we did what we said we were going to do. We were like, no, we're good. And everybody was cheering for the pastors. You know, we're a little bit more mature than a lot of you here. And they were like, the pastors did it. And then we were kind of like, shoot, we should have gone that extra lap. They would have even been more proud of us. But there's something that happens when we hear the extra mile. Because the bottom line is it's going to cost you extra, it's going to require extra, it's going to need extra, and it's going to demand extra. The extra mile. But even though it costs you extra, requires extra, needs extra, and demands extra, it produces extra. All of those things actually produce extra. And this is the crazy thing. Extra simply means more than is due. Extra means more than is due. More than what's asked of you. Honestly, when you ask most people to go the extra mile, their first thought is, I've already done enough. Why are you asking me to do more? But truthfully, more is where you actually get the fruit, right? And let me tell you this, the extra mile can be very lonely. I love this quote. It says, there are no traffic jams on the extra mile. There's only so many. Listen, you talk about I-4, you wouldn't have to worry about I-4 if it was all extra milers. Extra mile, there's no traffic jams. There are not enough people that really are willing to go the extra mile. Zig Ziglar said this, there are no shortcuts on the extra mile. And truthfully, as soon as you take a shortcut, you've now gone back to doing just enough. As soon as you take a shortcut, you've gone back to doing just enough. And honestly, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, we live in a world right now where it's just enough. I had someone that was so excited she was going to have girl talk at her house. And she's in another state. I'm not going to mention it. And she was so excited. She had a whole list of young girls, this next generation coming up. They were all excited about, they were committed for a month. Oh, my word, we're still doing this, right? We're doing this, right? So I texted her the day after and said, how did it go? And she's like, okay, everybody canceled. And said, I had something else that came up that I want to do instead. This generation that's coming up can't be committed to anything. So we're asking them to go to extra mile, and we can't even to go a half a mile. They can't be committed to anything, so there's no way they're going to go the extra mile. There's a story. I'm probably going to butcher this, guys, and some of you are going to know him because I guess he was a Miami Dolphin great. Bob Kuechenberg. Anybody going to correct me? Okay, good. Anyway, yeah, Bob Kuechenberg. That's it. He was the former Miami Dolphin great. Once explained what motivated him to go to college. My father and uncle were human cannonballs in carnivals. My father told me, go to college or be a cannonball. Then one day, my uncle came out of the cannon, missed the net, and hit the Ferris wheel. I decided to go to college. Everybody, something different is going to motivate you to go the extra mile. Whatever that is, you've got to tap into whatever it is that says, I'm going the extra mile. I actually was dating PT at the time, and I worked for Muscular Dystrophy in Charlotte, North Carolina. And our front receptionist hated me. Like, when I say hated, I'm talking hated with a capital H. She so did not like me. But she was in charge of every contract. So what we did is we went out to big companies and asked them to do fundraiser with their employees for muscular dystrophy. So we would go, and then we would come back, and we would give her the contracts. She would get them all filled out, everything that it needed to be. And every time she would do mine wrong on purpose because she couldn't stand me. A lot of reasons she didn't like me, but one was I was dating the most gorgeous man in the United States. And I had his picture about this big on my wall, and she'd walk in and look over at him, and she was not a happy camper. And so every day I'd come in, and so I went to my boss one day. I'm like, look, I'm really at a loss here because she keeps doing the contracts wrong, and everything's falling apart and whatever. And she goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I thought, well, good, because I'm telling you what, I'm going to tell her. And I went to her and I said, you know what, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to figure this out myself. And so I would come back every time, and I would fill out my own contracts. And I kept getting more and more and more companies and more companies. And the boss came to me and she goes, you've got all the companies doing these fundraisers, and nobody else can get anything. And I'm thinking, isn't that interesting? What motivated me to go the extra mile? Somebody hating me. I don't know. What motivates you to go the extra mile? It doesn't always have to be positive. It can, whatever it takes for you to go the extra mile. When we do what's expected, we don't have to push ourselves. But when we take the extra mile, we push our capacity. I truly believe, and we've taught our kids this seriously since they were tiny, you will really and truly not know your capacity until you go the extra mile. You won't know it. You'll only know what you're capable of doing just enough. But you will learn your capacity when you go the extra mile. You know, we have an amazing family here, and one of our servant leaders, and she motivates me daily, inspires me all the time. And her name is Alicia. You talk about somebody taking our excuses away. She's pregnant with her 6th child. She has 5 kids here at G5. She homeschools them. She runs everything at their house. She works out every day. When her husband comes home from work, she says, okay, if you don't, I'm going to run. She goes to the gym and works out for an hour and comes back to help take care of the kids while she's pregnant. And I can tell you this with 100% accuracy. I have never heard that woman complain. I have never heard it come out of her mouth. Ever. Extra mile. She's just grateful for what she has. I watched her little boy Wesley come in today, and because the screen was on, in his mind, it was G5 Church. And he kept pointing, G5 Church, and he kept pointing to the G5 here because he was sure. In fact, he's probably out there doing worship because he thinks when the screen's on, it's worship time. It's Tuesday fire, right? That doesn't come from someone that's not willing to go the extra mile. We have got to be willing to go the extra mile. Here at the ranch, we have to drop off water. It's a wonderful thing that you get to do for the government. And we do it every 3 months. And they charge us to drop off water from our sink. And so I get the privilege to go drop it off and pay $30. And at the end of the year, pay $300. I'm not sure why I'm paying it, but if you don't pay it, then they come find you. So I drop it off. And so I went to drop it off at the courthouse, and I walk in, and they're government workers, and they're happy to be there. And I always try to be up, and I'm like, oh, my word, how's everybody doing today? And they look up at me like, oh, my gosh, what is she on? And I'm like, it's such a beautiful day outside, and they're in this, like, dungeon. And I felt bad. They do have a big screen, and it's got, like, pictures of the beach and stuff because they're trying desperately to act like they're somewhere friendly. But so the one guy says, the manager's standing there, and he goes to the guy, can you take care of her? And he goes, I will, just 1 minute. And she goes, well, I would, but I'm doing something. And they're both going back and forth. And she goes, oh, my word, I forgot to clock in. And the other guy goes, I did too. And I'm like, isn't that cool? You guys gave it your all for the last 2 hours, and you did it for free. And she goes, oh, heck no. Ain't no way. I will get this fixed. She said, let me tell you something. We come in here every morning. We clock in, and the goal is to get out of here. Do what's asked of me, or maybe not even that. And she goes, I kid you not. As a matter of fact, I'd love to continue this conversation, but it's my break. And she grabs her cigarettes and walks out. And I looked and I went, oh my goodness. The mentality and the thought of let me get by. Let me don't ever go past what is expected of me. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how far you can go up in collecting people's water and ripping them off with your money, but I mean, she could probably go a little higher if she would just maybe have an attitude of, you know what, right, I'm just feel grateful to have a job, and I'm going to do my best. I can guarantee you this. If you ever confront anyone that is successful in anything they do, they have gone the extra mile. Bottom line, there's no way around it. I promise you, there's no way. And what we live in this world is, why would you ask me to do something that's not in my job description? Well, there's a thought. When we talk with our servant leaders here, one of our things and our values here is our culture is that maybe you were asked on Sunday to take care of the black draping that we put out there, but maybe you see someone down over here that needs help with something, and you don't say to yourself, I was only scheduled to put up the black drop. Instead, you go over and you go, hey, do you need any help? It's called going the extra mile. It's called getting out of you and going the extra mile. But most of the time, we don't want to do this. So I want to go over just a few traits of an extra mile leader. Number one, extra mile leaders are proactive. Extra mile leaders are proactive. Anybody that knows me knows that I have to look that word up. Proactive. Junior loves all my synonyms. Proactive means acting in anticipation. There's Wesley leading worship out there. Not kidding, that's what he's doing. Acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. Acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. And this is my favorite part, and this is the part that's hard for Junior, because on Sundays, if I'm preaching and Junior's having to translate, it's hard to translate my synonyms, right, into Spanish. So you're not translating tonight, so don't get mad at me. But listen to the synonyms of proactive. Are you ready for this? Far-seeing, far-sighted. It's funny how it has to do with your eyesight. Four-handed, foreseeing, and foresighted. Far-seeing, far-sighted, four-handed, foreseeing, foresighted. It all has to do with your eyesight. What do you see? What are you aware of? I love this quote. If you're proactive, you're focused on preparing. If you're reactive, you're focused on repairing. If you're proactive, you're focused on preparing. If you're reactive, you end up focusing on repairing. Every time you're reactive in your life, you're going to actually be repairing. Extra mile leaders take the initiative in getting things done. They prefer to tackle issues head on rather than assume a reactionary posture. How many of you know it's much better to not have to react to something? Because first of all, you shouldn't probably trust your reaction, because by then, who knows where you are in your head? Extra mile leaders are out front of the situation instead of behind the 8-ball trying to recover. Recovery is a tough thing when you are not proactive, and extra mile leaders. To be proactive and to go the extra mile, it requires awareness. We just talked about this. What are you willing to see? You won't see the need to go the extra mile if you don't see the need for the extra mile. Simple. You won't see the need to go the extra mile if you don't see the need to go the extra mile. You get to be aware. Awareness is way more than seeing. It's way more than just seeing. You can see it all day long, but you got to be willing to do it. I tell Tim, PT, all the time, I am shocked at the lack of awareness in people. And I realize they just, I don't know what it is. We've got to do he wants to do a whole day on awareness of how, first of all, how do you let yourself be aware? And then how do you help other people learn how to be aware? We'll be out traveling or wherever we go, and I'm amazed at people that will literally knock you to the ground and not even know you were there. I always like, oh, yeah, excuse me, so sorry. Like no awareness, like zero. And if you don't have awareness in that normal part of your life, you won't have awareness in anything else in your life. You're not going to see anything that needs to be done. You're not. So to win in life, the solution is simple. Go overboard. Do everything you can to overwhelm, over-deliver, and overcompensate. Go overboard. I think we do that here at G5. When you pull up, we go overboard to make you just go, God, if I get one more hug. That's called overboard, and I love it. Do everything you can to overwhelm, over-deliver, and overcompensate. How many of you, if you have a business, would love to have someone that did all of those right there? You could just go home and take a nap. They're going to go overboard. They're going to overcompensate. I don't have to worry about it. They're going to go. If it needs to get done, they're going to get it done. Number 2, extra mile leaders are enthusiastic. They're actually happy not to do mediocre work. They're actually glad to have a good attitude to say, I'm going to do something extra. And it is about attitude. You get a choice to decide if you're going to have a good attitude. An extra miler is a person who spontaneously offers assistance and advice to other members of their team, and who consistently and creatively looks for improvements and solutions. PT says this all the time. What would you give for a problem solver? We taught our kids this growing up every day. Don't think in problems, think in solutions. Why? Because when they get older in life, if they don't learn it, they're still going to always be thinking in problems. It is so frustrating to me, and you probably too, when you go to someone and go, this is going on. Yeah, but I could see where that wouldn't work. You ever thought about what if? I can't stand what if. How about even if? Even if, I'm going to keep on going. But the what if people can get right there. And you got them. I mean, the bottom line is, and I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. Extra mile leaders bring out the best in those they serve because they put them first. Extra mile leaders bring out the best in those they serve because they put them first. So there's a Scottish American industrialist, and philanthropist. I was like, my gosh, that's a word. His name was Andrew Carnegie. He led the expansion of the American steel industry in the 19th century and became one of the richest Americans in history. He was a poor immigrant that chose daily to go the extra mile. He built several companies. This will blow your mind. It blew mine. And in 1901, he sold his steel company for $500 million. In 1901, for $500 million, and he was mostly known for his charitable work and libraries that he's built all over the world. But he started as an immigrant, and if you read into his story, it was constantly where he had to do the extra mile. So I want to tell you this story. Many years ago, an elderly lady was strolling through a Pittsburgh department store, obviously killing time. She passed counter after counter without anyone paying any attention to her. All the clerks had spotted her as an idle looker who had no intention of buying anything. They made it a point of looking in the other direction when she would stop at their counter. What costly business this neglect turned out to be. Finally, the lady came to a counter that was attended by a young clerk who bowed politely and asked if he might serve her. No, she replied. I'm just killing time waiting for the rain to stop so I can go home. Very well, madam, the young man smiled. May I bring out a chair for you? And he brought it without waiting for her to answer. After the rain stopped, the young man took the lady by the arm and escorted her to the street and bade her goodbye. As she left, she asked him for his card. Several months later, the owner of the store received a letter asking that this young man be sent to Scotland to take an order for the furnishings of a home. The owner of the store wrote back that he was sorry, but the young man did not work in the home furnishings department. However, he explained he would send someone very experienced to do the job. Back came a reply that no one would do except this particular young man. The letter was signed by Andrew Carnegie, and the house he wanted furnished was Skibo Castle in Scotland. The elderly lady was Miss Carnegie's mother. The young man was sent to Scotland and received an order for several $100,000 worth of household furnishings. He later became owner of half interest in the store. The extra mile to a lady who you knew wasn't going to buy anything in the store, but you served her. We have no idea when we're willing to look past what we think somebody can or can't do for us, and we do for them instead. The extra mile, right? Number 3, extra mile leaders have an attitude of excellence. An attitude of excellence. This scripture is in Colossians 3:23 through 24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Now, I love this in the TPT. Colossians 3:23 through 25. Let every employee listen well and follow the instructions of their employer, not just when their employers are watching, but in pretense, but faithful in all things. For we are to live our lives with pure hearts in the constant awe and wonder of the Lord God. Put your heart and soul into every activity you do, as though you are doing it for the Lord himself and not merely for others. Is that powerful? For we know that we will receive a reward, an inheritance from the Lord as we serve the Lord, the Anointed One. A disciple will be repaid for what he has learned and followed, for God pays no attention to the titles or prestige of man. God looks at the heart. Are you willing to go with excellence? We used to have a sign out here. We took it down because people got confused when it said ranch. They thought we were a rehabilitation center instead of a church. So we took it down, but it said passionate about life with a spirit of excellence. Not perfection, because I know you've been here and you know we're not perfect, but a spirit of excellence. Do you have excellence? Extra mile leaders are those who have embraced the blessing and gift of their Creator and have committed themselves to live their life in such a way. When you find your purpose in what you're doing and you understand that going the extra mile is going to be the difference in your life, right? There's a philosopher, Danish philosopher, I am so going to Soren Kierkegaard said, woohoo, you impressed? There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing. There is something with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. Most people are so scared to know what they are going to become, so they stay in the small. All of you, if you have any job at all, if you're at a workplace, you know what I'm talking about. You got people around you that are going to stay small. There's no way they're going the extra mile. There's no way they're going to expand their capacity. There's no way they're going to show excellence. They just want to get their paycheck and go home and turn on Netflix. Bottom line, let's just go do it. The distance between those who achieve their goals consistently and those who spend their lives and careers merely following has everything to do with one's ability to go the extra mile. God works in the extra mile. And this is the thing, and I'm ending. I want to say this. Don't do this. Don't go the extra mile because it's going to give you just a pay raise or a promotion or get you further in life. I think that's awesome, and I'm glad we do that. But if you'll do the extra mile because of something that's not monetary, that's something that is eternal, then you'll find the promotion, and then you'll find the pay raise. I was a waitress at a restaurant. Heath, I think about Heath all the time. And we had people come in all the time, and it was fast. It was so fast. This place was crazy. And I was a good waitress. And I'll never forget the day that this lady came walking in. And she was a caretaker. And she had a little lady with her, and she had her little walker. And she came in, and they set her in my section. And all the other people go, oh, look who you got. And I'm like, what do you mean? They go, oh, she loves to come in here. She never tips. She's just, she goes through this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Because if you're a waitress, you're not making much unless you're getting some tips. Can I get an amen? So anyway, you're like going, okay, right? And so I walk up, and I'll never forget the caretaker. She said, oh, we're just so glad to be here. She loves to come here. She comes here once a week. She loves the oysters, and she gets the little hush puppies and fries. And she said, so she knows exactly what she wants. And her name was Martha. And I'll never forget her, and which is so cool because it's PT's mom's name. And I served them, and when they got up to leave, there was 25 cents left on the table, and I grabbed it, and I put it in my pocket, and I went over, and they were all like, oh, my gosh, really? Like, oh, wow. And I was like, you know what? It isn't all about that. In my mind, I knew God was going to bless me in a different way. Well, every week she came in, and she asked for me. And they're like, oh, you've done a good thing. Now you're going to get her to ask for you every week. And every week I'd walk over and I would talk about Martha and how was your day? I was like, I've already got your oyster order in. It's coming. And she's like, thank you. And she'd leave me a quarter. And this happened for like months. And I remember the day that the caretaker came in and she was by herself. And I was like, oh my goodness, so good to see you, but where's Martha? And she said, well, she's actually in hospice. But she asked me to come to the restaurant and tell you something, that she's been coming here a lot of years, and she's always been treated by people wrongly because she didn't have the money to tip them. But you didn't care about that, and you went the extra mile to care about her. And she wanted me to say, I want you to go to that waitress and tell her she changed my life, and I know now I'm going to leave this life. And she made a difference to me by letting me see her and leave her a quarter once a week. And I stood there and I wept. And I thought, the extra mile is awesome. But when you look at that, that's even more awesome. And I'm blessed because I haven't forgotten Martha. And I believe that that was a divine appointment for me. You all have a divine appointment to go the extra mile. If you're willing to go, even if there's something not that's going to be handed to you right away. I was given something months later that I'll never forget. So I love you guys. You're an extra miler. Here's my amazing husband.
Great job. Wow, so proud of you. Why don't you stand up, stretch a little bit, clap a little bit more. Say, I'm excited, I'm ready, I'm ready. How many of you are ready? Blake Goad was incredible tonight, and I'm so excited for him. And, of course, Gay, I'm just so proud of you. You know her as Mama G, so it's a beautiful thing. Can I ask you a question? We're going to spend a few minutes with you online. I know we have some family rooms on tonight that are watching, and leaders here at G5. You blow my mind. It's July 3rd. The 4th is coming tomorrow, and you have given up a night to sharpen the axe so that you can increase your life. And I'm really proud of you for that. I am hungry for growth. I want to grow more this year than I've ever grown in my life. So how many of you know growth is not comfortable? It's called growing pains. Have you ever had growing pains? When I was a little boy, I used to get leg aches, and oh my goodness, it hurt so bad. And I would get up in the middle of the night and put alcohol on my legs and get a lot of heat to try to get the pain to go away. But I want to encourage you tonight to embrace the pain. Embrace the pain of growth. So I want to ask you, do you know your potential? Do you have any idea of your potential? I love conversations with leaders, especially as they grow, because the conversations take on a whole nother level of conversation. What I love about G5 is we have a vision, and because of that vision, we'll never experience division or division. We all know where we're headed, so we're not all trying to cut people out and get them in our little group because we're all so busy going the extra mile in the vision that we have. So let me tell you what will kill you in your company, in your organization, in your work, is when you have somebody show up that has potential, but they waste their potential in an energy of division instead of into the vision. Now, any business owner that I'm talking to right now, and some of you will be business owners, and some of you are going to get offered promotions, and right now this may not mean anything to you, but as you grow in your life, this will mean everything to you. Because it's one thing to get yourself to do something. It's a whole nother thing to get a group of people going in the same direction at the same time. So I wonder if you know your potential. Here's why. Write this down. If you don't know your potential, you will never help anybody else get into theirs. But if your potential does not have a coach, you will never get into your potential in the right way. Matter of fact, you will absolutely destroy people's lives with the gifts, talents, and abilities that you have. There's nothing worse than any company of having a really gifted person that brings division to the organization. If you own a company right now, I promise you, you have people that are working towards the vision, and you may have one or two people that are trying to cut people out and distract them. And be careful, because I promise you, it is a cancer in your organization. More times than not in a company, a guy will call me, a lady will call me and say, can you help me get my company in order? And I have to go in, whether it's in a church or in a company or in a political party. And I have to find the person that is causing division and say, release them immediately. Why? You'll spend most of your time repairing instead of building. And it's a spirit that enters into people. So they'll go around you and they'll go to people and go, don't you think we ought to start our own little thing? Don't you think we should do this? And I just want to tell you, I was on the phone with leaders today, and 2 or 3 of them are dealing with this in their businesses right now. Pastors called me today and go, well, I got this little group that's trying to do this little thing. Anytime somebody tries to get you to divide away from the unified vision, run. That spirit on them will destroy everything in your life. And let me tell you what the enemy wants to do. He wants to hijack your calling, your anointing, and your potential. And let me tell you, somebody that would ever do that in your life or do that in your company do not know their value. And here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. They are not in their strength. They're not in their strength. So I got to ask you, if a leader is somebody that does the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right way, if a leader is a person that does the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right way, if a leader is somebody that does the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right way without you telling them to do it, now you got somebody that can help you build something and not destroy it. But the first thing you've got to do is do a SWOT on your organization and find your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Matter of fact, I would encourage you to do that in your own life. If I kicked the rear end of the person who's caused me most of my problem in my life, I wouldn't be able to walk for days. We have a tendency to get in our own way. Do you know why? I think I know. I think I know. And when you think you know, it builds pride in your life. And pride always comes before a massive fall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I want to be aware because I'm training leaders in your life. Be aware of people who are trying to move into your company, move into your environment, and promote themselves, but not promote the vision of the house. Are you okay? Are we doing all right? So here's what we want to do. We want to find unifiers. Unifiers, people that will come and unify around the vision. Because when you have vision and people are in unity, God commands the blessing in your life and in your company. So I just want to encourage you, do some homework and find out if leaders doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right way. Now, I could spend an hour here. I'm not going to. But there have been a lot of times in my life that I did the right thing. I did it at the right time. I did it for the right reason. But I didn't do it in the right way. Let me give you an example. When it comes time to coach people, if you demean them or embarrass them, that's not the right way. We're supposed to build one another up. So if I have a conversation with you, I want to make sure that my words are words that inspire you and cause you to reach out of the mess that you may be in into the miracle that is waiting for you. And anytime you get tempted in your life to be the captain of a dinghy when you could be the second mate of an ocean liner, I just want to encourage you, be aware, because your potential probably will never come forth. And if you don't know your value, and the people around you don't know your value, God has gifted me with the ability to see in people what they can't see in themselves. And matter of fact, when I first come to them and say to them, here is what God wants to do in your life, they want to argue with me. No, not me. Not me. Matter of fact, I have integrity in this because it happened in my own life with my own wife. We dated 5 years, and I would tell her, do you have any idea of the gifts that are inside of you? She never saw herself as a gifted speaker. She now speaks all over the world and trains people how to speak. She is a leader. She's anointed. And the greatest thing you need in your life right now, believe it or not, you need God, you need the power of the Holy Spirit. I'm being very strong with you right now. You need a coach that can help see in you what you can't see in yourself, or you will never go the extra mile. But I promise you, the greatest pain is in the extra mile, and the greatest fruit is in the extra mile. And you will gain in the extra mile what you would have never gotten any other way in your life. So how do you get into your strengths? It is known and is a known fact that if you get the people around you to focus on their strengths instead of their weaknesses, but most people don't even know their strengths and they focus on their weakness, they're embarrassed by their weakness, they try to cover their weakness. And what I'm doing is saying, no. Don't do that. Let's find your strength. By the way, in the home, this is so critically important. And if you will become a servant leader here at G5, you give me a chance to have a front row seat in your life to find out what it is that your strength is and what your gift is and what your future can be that you don't even know right now presently exist. Are you okay? So, if you focus on your weakness, do you know what you do? You get weaker. And it's all negative. But if you focus on your strength, I have people coming to me right now asking me about jobs and opportunities, and I have a lot of people in my life that own companies. And I want to be able in good faith to say to the company owner, I have somebody that's very, very gifted in organization. But when I equip a leader to bring somebody on their team, I will also say, here's what you got to be careful of in this person. They have great organizational skills. Their attitude is not good. And how many of you know you can never build anything great with a bad attitude. So in your life right now, you've got to ask. My son talked about it. Matter of fact, the whole extra mile thing is about attitude. Okay? So I just want to encourage you. The growing body of research of finding out the benefit of people being in their strengths is overwhelming. What I'm about to give you right now would cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I want to encourage you tonight to take notes. They'll put some stuff on the screen. If you're really expecting to get into your potential. By the way, God's given every one of you a gift. And I wonder if you're walking in it. I wonder if you're becoming all that God created you to be. Here's what the research is showing. Are you ready? 9 things. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 1, people that are in their strengths are happier. How many of you know that when you're happier, you're more productive? How many of you have ever tried to get something done when you weren't happy? You don't really get a lot done. They found and reported lower levels of depression, higher levels of energy and vitality, and better mental health. I just went for my wellness checkup to my doctor, and they came in and they had me fill out all these forms. And their word to me was this: we just want to know you. You know what the words on the forms were all about? My mental health. Do you believe your best days are ahead of you? Do you wake up in the morning gloomy and worried? Do you feel like you're failing in your life? And I'm looking at these questions and I'm going, what they're really trying to find out is the attitude of the patient that they're working with. If you look at the people that are on your team right now, ask yourself, are they happy? And if they're in their strengths, listen to me, if you're in your weakness, you can get better about 2% in your weaknesses. In your strengths, it's unlimited. So right now, if you've never found out what your strength is, you're depleted before you get started. The second thing is they experience less stress. This is so important for you to understand in your employees. If you've got 10 employees, wait till you get 100 employees. Wait till you get 150 employees. I had 500 employees with 5,000 volunteers. People are my gig. And with the gift of discernment, you can pretty much see where people are and where they could go if they just had a mentor. They experience less stress. Studies have found that they report higher levels of positivity. And in particular, character strengths. Guys, get this down. Character strengths of kindness, social intelligence, and self-regulation. I am getting ready to do a day here on self-awareness. It's not going to be inexpensive because I'm going to pour into you, because 93% of all Americans have zero self-awareness. They have no awareness of what their behavior, their persona, their very presence in a room has to do. My wife and I love to walk on the beach. And I'm amazed at how many little children will just run in front of you, not see you, and no parent go, hey son, be aware. Be aware. Can I ask you, are you aware of what your presence, when you sit in a room, when you come into a room, when you talk to people into a room, do you want somebody to do that to you? Now, it's funny because I go in and companies pay a lot of money. What do you do with that money, Tim? Look around. I'm the largest donor here. Why do I go do it? Because there's nothing more frustrating in life than having potential and never getting into it. Living here instead of living here. You never get into abundance. You never get into overflow. You never get moving. So here's what I can tell you. They're happier. They have less stress. They have kindness. And their perspective appears to create a buffer against the negative effects of stress and trauma. Are you staying with me? Are you staying with me? Because you do this in your own life and you get this into other people's lives. And here's what I want to inspire you to do. Come and be a part of G5 and help me do this for other people. I'm asking men to become spiritual leaders to other spiritual fathers to other men. I'm going to ask ladies, now make sure that you have been vetted before you do this, but I want to encourage you to begin to pour into. Susan has become a really dear friend of my wife and I love Miss Susan right here. Can you all say hi, Susan? And I just want to tell you, Miss Sheila tonight goes and sits with Miss Susan, and it's just such a powerful thing. One of the things I want to encourage you, or you wouldn't be at this leadership meeting tonight, I want to challenge you and encourage you, when you see somebody new here, learn the message of G5 and share that message and that vision, not your vision, but share the vision of this. Because your job as a leader is to move it from me to we. Can I ask you a question? You own a company? You have a family. What would you give to have people in your world that would move it from me, it's about me, to we? And by the way, studies in depression have shown that the number one thing to kill depression in your heart is to go out and serve somebody else, even if your heart is broken. Number 3, they feel healthier and have more energy. Studies have found the greater endorsement of character strength is associated with a number of healthy behaviors, including leading an active life, pursuing enjoyable activities, and eating well. And you know, he's showing his hand. I met Brian. The minute I met Brian, I knew that God's hand was on him and that he had big, big things to do. And you start speaking it, and at the moment, you don't really know. But now watching him explode a company, it's an incredible thing to watch. I want to ask you, who are you pouring into right now and helping them feel more healthy, helping them have more energy, and helping them pursue their dreams? Well, I've watched it start from, I just want a little bit, to now, he's now looking out into the future and saying, what can I sell my company for? I walked into a friend of mine life, and he was trying to sell his company for $2 million. And I said, bro, this company right now is worth $10 million. And if you do these 3 things, you can sell it for 30. Do you know your value? What are you telling yourself right now? I'm too old? I'm too young? Nobody will help me get in the pool? Are you rehearsing your story of yesterday, or are you joining the vision and saying, let's get this done and watch what can happen? My buddy Brian was just in the locker room when they just won the Stanley Cup. he got, because his friend is the surgeon, got to come into the locker room when they were celebrating. And I said, tell me, Brian, what does that feel like? He goes, there's no words to explain and explain winning. Wow. How many of you want to win? If you want to win, you got to get sick and tired of losing. And you got to say, you know what? Let me find out who I can join. Henry Blackaby changed my life when I was 21 years old. When I read in Henry Blackaby's book, Experiencing God, here's what he said. Stop asking God to bless what you want and start joining what he's already blessing. So let's do it. So I can tell you in my life, and I've just got a few more here and we'll be done, okay? But I hope you get all this tonight. One of the things I look forward to in my life that makes me such a wealthy, wealthy, wealthy man. Do you know what it is? I get to go every morning on a walk, run, and bike with my wife. It makes me wealthy because we get out. I want to encourage you, if you're shut up in a dark place, find a friend that's in need and begin to pour into their life. Now, I'm not saying make yourself a doormat. I'm just saying it may be someone in your own home. I would encourage you, if you're married, to start walking together every morning. Especially if one of you is a shark and the other one is a turtle. Let me explain that. Sharks love to talk. Turtles, anytime the heat turns up, they just want to go in a shell. So I don't know if you're a shark or turtle. I used to think that all men were sharks and ladies were turtles. I'm now more of the belief that ladies are sharks and men are turtles. If you want to scare a man, just say these words: we need to talk. They go for cover. Especially if you're not just going to communicate facts. If you start communicating emotion, oh my goodness gracious. Most of us go, no, there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. Don't cry. I don't understand that. I don't speak that. I know A, B, C, D. That's all I know. And here's where we get messed up, and I'm moving on. Are you ready? Men, when your wife comes and tells you a problem, she does not want you to solve it. She just wants to tell you. By the way, your daughters are the same way. Hey, Daddy, I want to tell you about this. I'm a decision maker. I've got wisdom. I read a book about that. If I wasn't a pastor, I would tell you what they think about your book. But that puts a limiter on me. But my friend Brian can express it in full form. So I brought him tonight to help me do it. Let me tell you. They want to tell you how they feel about it. Then they want to tell you how their friends feel about it. And then they want to tell you how they feel about what their friends felt about it. And you think it's over. It's not over yet. Then they want to tell you what their other girlfriends felt about it and how you feel about that. And about that time, you're going to be going tapping out. Because you're going to go, I want this over because I want to do something I want to do. Can I get an amen? You better let them live it out. By the way, if someone is working with you, they need to be heard. The need to be heard. I'm talking about really heard where you understand it is more critical than you can ever imagine. Number 4, they feel more satisfied in their lives. Studies have found individuals who are satisfied with life are good problem solvers. They show better work performance, tend to be more resilient to stress, and they experience, again, better health. Wow. Have you ever struggled with your attitude? I got to tell you, I used to think that a great attitude just happened. I used to think everybody was like Jen. Hey, it's good to see you. Tigger, woo. And I went to a friend of mine one day and I said, man, you have the most incredible attitude. You must have just been born that way. And he goes, no, a great attitude is a choice. And you get to choose your attitude about you. Have you ever spoken into somebody's life about what they can be and what they can do, and they look at you and go, no, this is what I am. We want people on your team to feel so satisfied because they're in their strength. This is why at G5, we want to be aware when somebody becomes a G5 servant leader, we want to make sure we put them in their strength zone. So some of you love people. You can't wait to see people. Some of you would rather just set up chairs. And the greatest mistake you will ever make in your life is taking somebody that wants to set up chairs and ask them to greet people. Now, they'll set up chairs better than you can ever imagine. Now, see, I can tell you right now, listen to me. There's some of you, guess what you love? You love big picture. And there's some of you that love details. You just love details. You love organization. How many of you love big picture, big vision, big dreams? How many of you love that? Look around. How many of you love detail? You just make sure, yeah, see, this is beautiful. And this is why we need each other. And in our lives, you will always look for somebody. If you're a door opener, you'll always look for somebody that's a door closer. I'm one of those guys that opened the doors and goes, look what we can do. Here's what we can do. We can make a difference. But if I don't have a door closer following me, I'll never get anything. Strength and weakness. Watch what happens in your life. Number 5, people that stay in their strengths are more confident. Their self-esteem is better. They set people up to win. I hope you'll write that down tonight. I set people up to win. I set people up to win. So I have people that I love here at G5 that right now they're going through transitions. And I want to help people have the greatest transitions of their life. And so they want to be entrepreneurs. But right now, how many of you know you got to pay for the entrepreneurial experience? So that may mean I do minimal things in order to finance the dream that I have. Paul built tents. So what is it right now that you can do while you're building yourself so you can educate yourself so that you can go to the next level? All right. So they're more confident. Studies have found that both strengths and knowledge and strengths used are significantly associated with self-efficiency, self-esteem, self-acceptance, and self-confidence. Now, we as Christians, we don't really know how to deal with that, because we blame God for everything. Well, brother, I just don't deserve it, but God. And God went, I made you, I created you, now I want you to do something with it. He'll give you the wood, but you got to build the furniture. He'll give you the diamond and the coal, but you got to go. So what is it right now that you're trying to not do that you need to do in order to get the blessing that God desperately wants for you in your life? See, I see a lot of people that want the moment, but they don't want the practice. They want to play the game, but they don't want to show up for practice. Don't ever put anybody in the game that will not show up for practice, because they will never play the game with the character and the stamina that they need. Number 6, if they're in their strength, they experience faster growth and they develop quicker. Can I ask you a question? Where do you right now need to grow? No fooling. not embarrassing you. Where do you need to grow? Don't get mad at a coach or a mentor or a friend that will help you be what God called you to be. Don't get mad at them if they want to help you get from where you are to where you want to be faster. And most of the time, what they say will make you mad before it makes you better. Can I just leave that there? Studies have found that positive self-monitoring people, they build strengths that are particularly suited to circumstances. When you're learning something new, something difficult, or something perceived as difficult, what they're finding out is people that are in their strengths feel and sense that they can bring a positive solution to the situation that they're in. Number 7, they're more creative and flexible. They're more creative and flexible. I have friends of mine that own companies, and I have people that need jobs. And one of the things that I want to do is help equip them so that they're ready, so that they don't fail when they get in the position of blessing. Are you okay? So I want to help you get more creative, more flexible. And studies have found that the feelings of authenticity, vitality, and concentration, when you have this place of strength in your life, it causes you to pay more attention to detail, and it causes you to work harder. Wow. So I hope I'm making a case. I got 2 more to get you in your strength. To get you in your strength. By the way, there are some people who live their whole life and never get in their strength. They stay in their weakness. And let me tell you, one of the things you'll find out when you stay in your weaknesses and not your strength, hear me, I love you, you'll be very, very anxious. You'll constantly feel like you're unsafe. But when you're walking in your strength, Bree, who you see leading worship, people see her in this building, but they don't understand. She's 25, but the first 20 years of her life, she spent in coliseums leading thousands. But then we would take her to an orphanage where there would be 25 children, and she would have to sing over a speaker that I was holding. Our son, you have no idea what's been poured into him. And I have to be careful as a father because I know what's in him, that I don't demand too much too quick, but I let them step into it. So we were in the Portland Coliseum, and our daughter was 2 years old, maybe 2.5 years old, maybe 3. And she walked out in front of 25,000 people and sang a song that we wrote called Everybody Wants to Be Somebody. And she sang, and for the first part, it hadn't settled in how big this crowd was. But as she sang, she started shaking. And she finished, and she got a 15-minute standing ovation. And I carried her over to Mama G. And Gay looked at me with tears streaming down her faces because now Bree is crying. And she said to me, "Are we doing the right thing?" I said, "Absolutely," because she's about to find her place in this world. And when she finds it, no one will ever be able to take it from her. You got to be careful trying to shield people from heartache and hardship and adversity. I know we all want to do it. There's not a parent alive that has not ever said this: "I want to save my children from the pain I've experienced." But pain is a massive teacher. So as an employer, you have to start looking around and saying, how fast am I developing people? I ask myself every week of my life, how fast are we growing men? How fast are we growing ladies? How fast are we growing teenagers? How fast are we growing people? Because I not only want you to come here and serve, I want you to go out in the world. And here's my dream, that people will say in companies all over Orlando and around the world, those people were trained at G5. And you will be salt and light in a world that is very dark. Number 7, we already gave you that. Number 8, feel more satisfied. People that are in their strengths feel more satisfied and experience more meaning in their work. Studies have found that people who use 4 or more of their top character strengths at work are more likely to experience job satisfaction. For those of you that have employees, Brian's got a bunch of them. The battle you face in a company is not only hiring people, but retaining people. And right now we live in a world that's not very loyal. So everybody, for a point more or a point less, will leave you because they think money is the answer, but they find out later that money is not the thing that brings happiness. What brings happiness in my life is growth and winning. Number 9, when people are in their strengths, and I close, this is a lot of information and I'm proud of you for taking it, okay? But you're going to be so powerful. Number 9, are more engaged in their work. Studies have found that employees who have the opportunity to regularly use their strengths at work each day are up to 6 times more engaged in what they're doing. My goodness. Do you realize in your company, in your organization, or you personally, if you increase your productivity by 3%, you will outrun and outlast and outperform anybody around you. It's that extra mile that Gay was talking about. And if you will do it, you will glorify God and you will get promotions. It will blow your mind. If you are willing to step up and work where other people want to play, you'll be able to play where they can never afford to play. I'm serious. It is not hard. The hard part is the discipline part. Managers who focus on people's strengths experience improved team performance and greater success. Studies have found leaders who focus on the strength of employees benefits from lower levels of staff turnover, higher levels of productivity, more satisfaction in their customers, and greater profitability. Is anybody in the room excited about those words coming true in your life? See, here's what I'm asking myself without cutting corners, without shortcuts, doing the extra mile. I'm always asking myself, how can I get more done in less time? And how can I help the people around me? Developing our strengths. In most positive cultures, wasn't a requirement. It was just mentioned to people. But finding small ways each day to help people get in their strength and get better at their strength and get engaged and synergized in their strengths, it is amazing what it does for performance. I have a lot of people around me. I have to do research. Basically, every week of my life, I have 3 term papers that I have to deliver. Research is a big part of my life. And I have people in my life that enjoy it way more than I do. I have to work my research in, it's not this or that, it's that and that. So let me explain that to you, okay? A lot of my growing time personally, my wife will tell you the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I walk in, brush my teeth, I hit play on a podcast. I listen. I listen. You have no idea how many hours I spend listening while I'm doing something else. If you ever sneak in here and I'm on a mower, one of our big diesel mowers, it's therapy for me. But I have these big headsets on, and guess what I'm doing? I'm not wasting time. I'm listening. Can I ask you, in your strength right now, what are you listening and what are you reading right now? I want to encourage you, if you're a leader, to read this book, Extreme Ownership. Read this book. If you've never read a book by Simon Sinek called Leaders Eat Last, I want to encourage you to read this book. I want you to start being a profuse reader. I devour reading. If you're a leader, you're a reader. I want to encourage you, parents, to encourage your children. My daddy never paid me for chores, but he did pay me for reading books. And I fell in love with books at such a young age. I mean, I can tell you at 3 and 4 years old, I would read books and it would open up the creative vision in my heart. And now I'm grateful. I want you to know that you guys are so powerful. And I want you to find and be curious how to find your strengths. Now, there are many strength finder things you can get on the internet. You just type in strength finders and it will help you find your strength. There are spiritual gift testings that you can take. We have a class here called Shape that I probably am going to get ready to do again because I want to bring people in. Let me tell you what my goal for is every person at G5 is that they will be in their strength. We will have them in their strength. They will be working in their strength, and they will be seeing miracles come out of their strengths. And it doesn't have anything to do with age. Seth has a son, I think he's 9 years old. His name is David. I want you to show up early on Sunday morning and watch him go wipe down tables. He's already building the character. Do you know why? His daddy took him with him while he did it. And you're going to be amazed how much your children love serving and doing something powerful. In that we get to watch them and we begin to develop. Let me tell you the most incredible thing that you never want anybody to say to you is you haven't changed in 30 years. You don't ever want anybody to say that. You want to be growing. You want to be stretching. That's why at G5 Church we have a vision. We have a mission. We have an incredible moment in our lives where we can work together and unify. Do you know what? G5 Church looks a lot like heaven. There'll be every nationality there. Are you ready for that? I'm so excited that God's bringing all these people, 13 countries right now, and we're coming together and we're working together. And you know what? The whole world is not far away from coming and saying, how do you do that? Do you know how you do it? You put people in their strengths and we chase a vision. Not division, but a vision. I want to challenge you in the next 7 days to discover more about your strength. And I want you to do 3 things in your life that will cause you to strengthen your strength. How do you strengthen your strength? My son's still strengthening his strength. Is it any wonder now that guys are calling me from out all over the world saying, can your son come and speak? Our daughter is building her strengths. Is it amazing? My wife, and now guess what we're having to do? We're having to decide, where is my time most needed? And while I love all that out there, let me tell you the most important part of our lives is you. You. Pouring into you, developing you, watching you be blessed, watching you go to a whole nother level. What a joy to have you here tonight. We're grateful. We're thankful. Blake, do you have anything you need to say? I want to say thank you to Josh. Thank you for opening today. Brian, it's so great that you came in for Blake's birthday. And I'm just so fired up that you're here tonight. Was this helpful? Was it helpful? Okay, so put on your calendar because next month we're having leadership again. And I want you to bring somebody with you. They don't even have to go to church here. They can go to another church. They can be on staff at another church. They can do, because here's our goal. We want to build the body, not just this body. Are you with me? We're one together in his power. I love you. I'm so honored to be with you tonight. And Baby, thank you for speaking. Blake, thanks for speaking. And Seth and Laura, thank you for all your help. I hope you loved it. Blessings. Have a great 4th of July.
1, 2.
When it's the end of the weekend, but not quite the end of the weekend. Check it out. It is what it is. You got me feeling.
You make me feel like I'm in all my best clothes. So good that I don't care that Chick-fil-A's closed. Like a slow motion cruise on the back